Yeah, so where did life start out for you, Mark, on your journey?
Well, I don't remember the first moment, but soon after that,
Yes.
soon after that, on the top of the hill on Morford Road in Seaview Downs,
Okay.
which was about 63 years ago, and my parents had a house. It was a housing trust house at the end of Morford Road, and it was the last house there. Nowadays, if you go back there now, it's just full of houses everywhere. But back in those days, it was a very simple brick house, and we had a big black cat called Pickles, and that's where I grew up in the first maybe 3 years of my life. Back then in South Australia, this is in Adelaide. I think the population of South Australia as a whole was about 500,000 people. Australia was about 10.5, and there's about 3 billion people in the world. So nowadays, South Australia is a bit under 2 million. Australia would be about 27 million, so it's gone from 10 to 27, nearly 3 times. And globally, we're up to over 8 billion. So back in that, when I was born, it was a totally different world. And in our house, for example, we didn't have a phone, no telephone. So if Mum needed to phone her mother or call the hospital or something, she'd have to walk down the road to the phone box or the nearest neighbour that did have a telephone. So we it was pretty basic back then.
Yeah. What about radio, television?
Yeah,
any of that
television.
stuff?
Well, I guess radio or the wireless,
Wireless,
was called. But I guess, but the radio, the television. I don't know if we had a television. I don't remember having a TV back then. But if we did, it would have been black and white, obviously, and there would have been 3 channels, I guess. A few more channels out there now.
Yeah, there are. Yeah. The beautiful words, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, over this last 60 plus years, things have changed in all of these areas. Telecommunications, that sort of thing. Population, housing, everything. It's been a real journey, I must say, and it's sort of interesting to look back on those times and think about what life used to be like, and the world was a massive place. Everywhere was a long way away. Even interstate. Trying to get to interstate. There were air travel was around, but overseas was a big thing. But nowadays, people wouldn't blink twice about flying overseas somewhere. You can contact anybody with your phone, with your mobile phone, over the internet. Families are all spread out now. The kids are they're living and working all over the world. It's just so different. Anyway, so that's where I started out. And then and my parents, by the way, they were my mum, I think, was 22 when she had me. I was the second out of 4 kids. So I had an older brother and then myself and then a younger brother. And then after my younger brother was born, not long after that, I guess we moved into the city, or closer to the city, CBD, into Kings Park, which is near Unley. And Kings Park has 5 streets in it. So we always used to be proud of the fact we lived in the smallest suburb in the city. Anyway, so when I was about 7, my mother had her 4th child, which is my sister. And I always found it strange that I only had 2 brothers, whereas my sister had 3 brothers. So what's going on there? Anyway, that's a terrible, lame joke. Sorry about that.
How does it work?
Yeah.
What have I got myself in for today? Both
Don't worry, there won't be too many of those.
Okay.
But soon after my little sister was born, before she turned 1, my father left. He left for another woman. So my mum was now on her own. She would have been a bit less than 30, and she had 4 kids, all under the age of 10. She was looking after, trying to teach, teaching part-time or as many hours as she could. So we were at primary school, the boys. My sister was being looked after by my grandparents, or mum's parents, my grandparents on the maternal side. So I guess I was too young to really realise what was going on. And I think for me, fortunately, I was at that sort of a certain age where I don't think it affected me too much. My wife seems to think that it did affect me, but I think I'm normal, you know. And so we just got on with things. But in hindsight, looking back, you know, my mum had a really tough time. She struggled with migraines and things, and, you know, just to make ends meet, because we weren't that super well off. I guess we were probably in the middle somewhere. But for me, I had a good childhood. I loved going to school, primary school. We all went to Westbourne Park Primary School, and used to walk there. It wasn't that far, but I don't know that nowadays whether kids walk to school. Maybe some do, but, you know, in this day and age, it's you know, possibly a bit problematic.
So besides walking to school and spending that time with your siblings, what else did you do together?
Well, my parents, my mother and my dad were both musical. So although we weren't super well off, Mum encouraged me to have piano lessons. So I went to piano lessons, and she also encouraged me to take up the trombone. So I joined the Mitcham City Brass Band for a number of years, playing trombone and marching in the band. We did some Christmas pageants, the John Martin's Christmas pageants. It was back then. Yeah. The trombone is an interesting instrument. It's this long instrument, and you move the part of it backwards and forwards to lengthen lengthen or shorten the amount of the tube. So, and by shortening or lengthening, it changes the pitch, together with using your lips on the mouthpiece. And we did a lot of marching. We did competitions back then, and I remember our bandmaster, he'd be yelling at us when we were marching practice, telling us not to dig potatoes, because if we had our heads down and we're playing like this, the trombone would be getting close to the ground. You know, so you had to hold your head up while you're playing. So yeah, piano and trombone.
Which one did you like better, piano or trombone?
Piano, definitely piano. Trombone was a bit dorky, you know, because this is an instrument case that was of strange shape, and it wasn't cool. So I gave it up as soon as I could.
Easier to carry at the Christmas pageant, though.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
What did you hit teenage years and then just decide, no, that's it, no more?
A bit like that. Yeah. When I hit teenage, because Mum had also encouraged me to take up ballet. So I did. I got a scholarship. I don't know how, but I won a scholarship to do ballet, and so I went along to the ballet classes. And I think I was the only bloke or boy. I was the only boy, and all these girls around. And I thought it was very strange. We had to wear short black shorts and a white T-shirt and jump around, you know, do these demi-pliés and grand battements tendus and all these sort of French things. And Mum said to me, look, you know, you should do ballet. It'll be good for your football. Because it'll build your strength and your balance. And probably she was right. But again, when I became a teenager, I thought, oh, no, this is uncool.
That was it.
This is uncool.
Done.
That was a big mistake. Big mistake.
Thank you for watching this short clip of Life Bursts. You can like, subscribe or follow for more, or head to rawcut.com.au.